So it was 1990. I had done a music video, and I used to wear baggy clothes, partially because I was Muslim, so I wouldn't be caught dead in something fitted, leggings or anything like that, which was primarily the style of that time, leather leggings and leather jackets and that sort of wild hair. So I was raised Muslim, so I wasn't able to really participate in the fashion of the 90s. But what I would do was I decided, because of that, I kind of joined the group of rappers that look like me. So it was Native Tongue, Queen Latifah.
I remember when you looked like that.
I used to wear like head wraps because I knew eventually I would have to wear the whole complete hijab. So I would wear head wraps kind of tied on my head, and then baggy clothes because I knew I couldn't wear anything fitted. But at the same time, I was also I can say this because my dad has passed away. Rest in peace to my dad. He passed away a long time ago. But I used to cut school to go dance in music videos because I secretly wanted to be a hip hop dancer. And the only way I could do that is if my dad had no clue about it. So I remember going to a video set. You Got to Get Down. It was like a Kwame video. And then another one, Walk On By Sybil, I think her name was. And I remember right after that video, someone else had called me to do a video who I met on that set. And when I showed up, it was like lace and leggings. And I was like, I'm not wearing this. And I just remember, like, for me, that was the pivotal moment, for one, where I realized the style had changed. Like what was considered, I guess, unisex. Like we used to wear baggy t-shirts, baggy jeans, was now I started feeling the pressure of, as a woman, having to wear these fitted clothes. And I was so uncomfortable. I put the clothes on and the choreographer was like, but you have such a great body. And I was like, but how am I going to dance? Like when I dance, my clothes need to move with my body and the movements and the whole hip hop style. And for me, that was like a pivotal point in fashion in terms of where it was going. But as I said, because I grew up Muslim, I knew that I would never be a part of like the big fashion scene in that way, because my dad, we used to always say, when you graduate high school, you're going to have to start wearing a full hijab. So my sense of style came a little bit from, was influenced by African style and textile because of the head wraps I would wear, and also the Islamic culture. But then a little mix in there of hip hop because I grew up in Harlem and we grew up around that time. So I would do like the Air Force Ones, but like with baggy pants and like my hijab. So it just, for me, because my style was naturally influenced by my culture, my religion, and where I grew up, I would combine all of it together.
That is, oh my God, this is going to be such an exciting conversation. Everybody, this is Rahimah Yoba. I'm about to do a proper introduction, but just give me a second. We're about to jump in. Welcome to the Secrets of Stylish Women podcast. Welcome everyone to the Secrets of Stylish Women podcast. I am your host, Lauren Simmonds. And today I'm so excited. That's why I can't speak, because I have an amazing guest. We already started chatting, but this is Rahimah Yoba. And let me give you a proper introduction. So Rahimah, we used to go to high school together. So we both have, like artistic backgrounds in some way, shape or form. We went to Performing Arts High School in New York. And Rahimah is a poet, a writer, and celebrated costume designer with more than 25 years of experience in film and television. She got her start in the 1990s as an intern on New York Undercover and worked her way up, becoming known for her ability to use costume to tell powerful, authentic stories. Her credits include projects like Empire, Netflix's Uncorked, Unsolved, the Murders of Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G, and others. And we can talk more about that. And Rahimah is deeply rooted in growth, elevation, and positivity. And today we'll be getting into her mind and understanding the creative genius behind celebrity costume design and styling, and also just getting some insight into her own personal style. So without further ado, welcome, Rahimah.
Thank you for having me.
So just for full transparency, we have, stayed in touch every once in a while over the past few years, not over the past few years, since high school. And actually, the last time we spoke, you were a guest on, during the pandemic, I was doing a weekly Instagram live called Fashion Forum, and you were a guest on that. And that was 5 years ago. Can you believe
Yeah,
that?
I can't believe that. That's crazy. It feels like from 2020 to like 2024, I want to say it was like all 1 year.
Mm. It
Like
was
it
certainly a blur,
collapsed
right?
into itself. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a powerful story, and actually you answered one of the questions that I wanted to ask. I wanted to understand like how your early life influenced your style, because I was watching a previous interview you had done, and you spoke about actually, be having exposure to Buddhism as well as Christianity.
Yes.
So you spoke about how the Muslim influence as well as African culture kind of shaped how you approach style. But once you started learning more about other types of religions, how did that impact the way you dressed, or did it at all?
Uh, it it didn't in my style, but when I started practicing Buddhism, it led me to other versions of meditation. So at one point, I had this entire side of my head shaved, and I had the Om symbol carved in it. I would wear like sometimes like Om symbol necklaces or amethyst or stones and that sort of thing. So I think practicing Buddhism then leading me to more spirituality with wearing stones. I would do a lot of that. That was in the early 2000s
Okay.
or early 2000s. That was before I had a daughter. I was just experimenting with a lot of things. I had stopped practicing Islam, so I had taken the hijab off. And, should I wear braids? Should I cut my hair? I had locks for a while. Then I just find that I feel best with short hair. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Short hair for the win, yes.
Yeah, I wear braids too. I like short hair or braids. So those are like the two options. But I think as far as Christianity, I think I was influenced a little bit because I have tattoos. So like
Mm.
when I had my daughter and I started going to church, I remember my mom came to LA and she was like, "Oh, are you returning clothes from a film you worked on?" And I was like, "No, these are my clothes." She was like, "Why are you wearing that?" I was like, because I'm a mom now and I have to like go to church and like I didn't grow up in church. I grew up in the mosque. So I'm thinking you have to do some version of like, even though I've seen people who go to church, but I just felt like I had to wear like these frilly clothes, something that was completely on my.
Mm.
And then, but then I felt like a fraud and I just like kind of returned everything and just got things that I would wear. I wear black mostly. Sometimes I'll pop in some color. It doesn't really reflect on my Instagram page, I realize. I don't post a lot, but I
Mhm.
realize on my page I have like a colorful dress on and a red dress and then a tan dress. But in real life, like outside of posting, I have on a black, warm, cozy turtleneck. I probably wear black 95% of the time.
Mhm. And why is that?
I think it's a New York influence, to be honest. I think
Mm.
I have a little bit of my mom in me in terms of I'm very simple in my personal style. Um, I wear black a lot. I wear denim. Uh, very Soho, I guess the style would be. I'm trying to figure out like Madewell. I would shop there.
Mm.
Anthropologie, Urban Outfitters, Nanette Lepore when that was around. Like the more like
Okay.
I don't what is that style? It's like bohemian chic, but then it lends itself to like classic Gap. Like I love
Mm.
the Gap. I love the way Gap jeans fit me. And that might be surprising for some people because I've worked on shows that were required high end clothing like Empire
Mhm.
and Power Book Ghost. But for my personal style, I just feel a little more subtle in it. Perhaps growing up Muslim, you're not supposed to be flashy. You kind of cover up, even
Mm.
though I have a very curvy shape. And again, what I'm about to say probably doesn't reflect because I posted photos of me in like tight dresses. But in my everyday life, I'm the t-shirt and jeans person with some flip flops because I live in California, or some black leather combat
Mhm.
boots style, leather jacket maybe, in my short hair. Like that's like kind of my general style.
I love that though, because you know what works for you, you know what makes you feel comfortable. And you said something earlier about oh God, what was it in reference to? It was just about like how you felt like a fraud. And that is so important because there's a lot of people out here cosplaying,
Mhm.
dressing in ways that don't really suit who they are. Seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like people are just so afraid to be individual. They're so afraid to do something different. They're so afraid to not, you made a reference about name brand, and designer stuff. There's nothing wrong with designer, but there's nothing wrong with not having designer also. To me, style is more about how you interpret things, how you hook things up, mixing,
Yeah.
matching, adding your own little flair. So that's my entire approach to personal style.
Hmm. I remember
Now,
when I was on Empire and I had put an outfit together for Taraji. And I was in the store called Blake in Chicago. Shout out to them. They gave us so much love during the show. Like, oh, this store is amazing. It used to be a post office, I believe. And it's oh my God, the clothes in that store. Like those, when you go into stores like that, like I fall in love with clothes all over again. Surprisingly, I'm not a clothes person. Like I'm not a super fashion-y person. But I
mm-hmm,
think what I admire are runway because it looks like art. I went to
mm-hmm,
art. So I appreciate the aesthetics of it and how it drapes. And I could fall in love with couture.
mm-hmm.
And I remember when I put together, it's a shame that I don't remember this designer's name, Maison Margiela.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Look, there we go. But I had put together this outfit for her and it was a two-piece Mason Margiela outfit. It was printed, and I put this pink fur with these big glasses, and oh my gosh, she just looked so fly. And I remember my assistant was like, "Oh, I see you put the Mason Margiela on her," and I was like, "Mm-hmm." I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't look at the brand name.
Really?
No, I saw it in the store, and I was like, "This is fly." I was like, "Oh, it comes at the bottom. It's a set. I'm gonna put it with a pink fur," and I think secretly, like I went to like Nordstrom Rack in Chicago, has like it's probably similar to the one in New York. The fashion is a little better
Mm-hmm.
than at least like the ones out here. But there was this big fake fur coat. It was probably about, I don't know, $500 on sale. But Cookie would never wear that. But I would do high and low. I used to get in trouble for it because they wanted me to keep everything super high end. But I just felt like if the show took place in New York, and she was a real New Yorker, or even from Philly who moved to New York, which Empire was supposed to be the storyline, something like that. New Yorkers do high and low. Like I feel like you could be super wealthy, but you'll still might shop at Marshall just to get that one top. I always feel like there's always one good thing in those kind of stores.
Or even Zara.
Zara. So I actually put a Zara top on her once, but the bottoms and everything else was couture. And then I did like a little embellishing. Like I think we had whatever the underlining was, I had them change it out. But the top was Zara, but it looked like it came from Christian Dior.
Mm-hmm.
But then after a while, like the person in charge of the fashion on the show, the producer, she could tell like she has certain, a taste level. And I think like I struggled with that on that show because I wanted
Mm-hmm.
it to feel like it was grounded in New York. Same thing with Power. I remember struggling with like coming into constant conflict with the producer because he was from Maryland. And I remember telling him like, I'm from Harlem and Brooklyn. I'm telling you, Method Man is not going to want to wear a two-piece Gucci tracksuit after his character just gets fired. He's going to want to wear a white beater and some Timbs and some baggy jeans and ultimately he came into his fitting and that's what he wanted to wear. He didn't want to wear this like costume that goes with film and television. He wanted to look organic. So anyway, so again, that's lends itself to authenticity. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want even my characters to feel like frauds.
Mm-hmm.
Dress them in a certain way that's supposed to reflect their occupation or where they're from. I like to do the research and dive into that city's because I think it shows on camera, like it shows in real life.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dressing, like I said, I'm really curvy. I could do that Instagram model type look, but it wouldn't come off right. Like, what is she wearing? And why does she have that lace front on and all this lashes? Like, Who is she? So yeah,
But
authenticity is key.
yes. Fashion should enhance. It should make you feel powerful. Sometimes I look at my clothing as armor because when you step in a room with a certain outfit on,
Yeah. Dress how you want to be addressed. I heard that a while ago.
Yes, it's so true. So let me ask you a question. What's been one of your favorite projects?
I really love working on Empire. Taraji is like one of the best humans I've ever met. She's so like you won't even know she's in the room until they say they're ready for camera, and then she turns it on. Like she's really fantastic to work with, and she was easy to dress. She has a good body anyway, but she was easy to dress because she lets you do your thing.
Hmm.
A lot of actors like to implement their personal style into their character, which sometimes it works if it fits the character. But I loved working on that show. There were so many different types of people to dress. I always love a show where I can dress African Americans and other, whether it be white, Asian, Hispanic, just to kind of show a range. Um, that show was pretty intense, though. Like, I want to say we had anywhere from maybe 150 costumes an episode or 75 costumes.
Wow.
It was a lot, like because
Yeah.
one episode would take place in 7 days in the script. And imagine if there's like 10 major characters, that's
Okay.
70 costumes.
Hmm.
So it was quite demanding. And I liked being in Chicago. It was a good time. I took over for a designer who left to go do a film.
Okay.
And then the pandemic happened and it shut the whole show down. So if you ever watched the last episode of Empire, it feels like a trailer, like a little
Mm.
cohesive because they had to push
Okay.
together a bunch of edits because they had the show ended, like COVID ended the show essentially.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was supposed to go until April, and March 13th I think was the day where the world shut down. So that was yeah, but then Power was fun too. That was a good show because I got to dress the younger generation of like street style with Tariq and I cannot think of his name right now. I'm like drawing a blank, but it's a shame.
Which character? Or
Braden. Braden.
okay,
So
I would have never guessed that.
yeah. Power Book Ghost starred Tariq and Braden. So it was like the
Okay.
younger generation.
Okay.
By the time I got on it, Omari wasn't on it, and Tasha's character appeared like a couple of times. That was fun to do too. It had its challenges, but it was fun. What else did oh my God, one of my favorites was Unsolved because I was such a Tupac fan and a Biggie
Mm.
fan, of course, but primarily
Hmm.
Tupac. So to have the opportunity to recreate those costumes from the 90s, that was like
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. That show was really hard. Episodics are hard because of the hours that you have to work and the volume of costumes that you have to produce in the time that you're given, which is usually like 7 days. But those I would say were the top tier. I did a film called Uncork that took place
I
in
remember that.
Paris. Yeah,
Hmm.
watching Mamadou Athie, he was the star of that on another TV show, and that was a fun project. He had like 82 costume changes or something like it was a film, but it took place over several days and years. So it kind of got up there, those numbers. I remember doing a costume breakdown, like this can't be right. So sometimes I would just like change out the jeans and change top, like swap like alternate days, like
Yeah.
just to kind of save costs.
Hmm.
That was nice because I got to go to Paris. I had never been, and we shot there for
Mm.
2 weeks, and we shot the entire film aside from the scenes in Paris in Memphis. And I'd never been to Memphis. Well, I was on tour with Miley Cyrus. We like landed and kind of spent a little time there and then took off. So I didn't get to get the true culture of Memphis. So
Hmm.
that was nice to film there as well and to dress him for that. And that was more, he was a sommelier. So
Yes.
fine clothing. Niecy Nash played his mom. So it's that juxtaposition of like the barbecue family owns a barbecue spot and then he's going off to Paris and
Hmm.
becoming a sommelier. So
I'm gonna have to watch that again. I really enjoyed that. I saw that a number of years ago.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was a good one. So what if you were recommending, like based on your exposure to so many different periods of style and so many different concepts on what style is, for someone who is trying to, you know, reinvent themselves, what's something that you would recommend that they do if they're, looking to, I guess, add some personality to their wardrobe?
Sit with yourself and figure out where you are in life. So if you are like at one point, even like a little like now, I'm not particularly the size I want to be. I'm still curvy, but I'm like thick curvy, like thicker
Mm-hmm.
than I've always ever been. So I want to start working out, right? So that would be my new style, like sporty, casual
Mm-hmm.
workout, because I know for myself that will make me feel comfortable and inspired to go and work out. And then if I had to go to an event, I probably honestly would have to look through what fashion is out now to get inspiration, because I feel like when you're in between who you were and where you're going, you need a little bit of assistance from outside sources. I'm not above that, like looking through a magazine just to see, oh, wait, I kind of like a mixture of this, because you lose your way a little bit sometimes when you're going through life changes. And like I had twins that passed away, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what my style was. I had tattoos. That's when I was going to church. And I was just like, should I start covering it up? Like maybe I shouldn't wear, my All Saints style and be so rocker and be more. So I was going through such an odd transition that I think the advice I would give to anyone going through that period when you're changing from one style to the next is to sit with yourself and say, where am I right now? Am I do I want to, or where do I see myself going to is another thing. Do I want to dress more in tailored suits in corporate or streetwear? Or so I think it's a sit with yourself kind of question. I don't, and then maybe, like I said, research magazines just to see like what the style is, fashion magazines and online articles or podcasts like yours and sites, Instagram. I was thinking of like yeah, mainly influence and celebrities as well. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
feel like I want to dress more like Zoe Kravitz or Kim Kardashian. It's such a range.
Mm-hmm. And so you struck on something very important. So first of all, no one, in my opinion, should be above getting influence from external forces. And for anyone who acts like they don't, that's a lie because
Yeah.
you can't help but be influenced, especially if you're a creative person and you are like, there is inspiration everywhere,
Yeah.
like I'm sitting in my living room right now, artwork on the wall. If I look out the window, like inspiration is everywhere. So
Mhm.
it's important to bring in those external forces. But again, combining that with who you are and then figuring out, like, okay, what makes sense for my lifestyle? For me, I'm a recovering high heel junkie. I don't really do heels like that anymore. Like I
Right.
used to be all about shoes and heels, and I still love them. But when I look at a pair of pointy stilettos, I see pain. I don't see a nice looking shoe.
I see pain. It's hysterical. I was like, I see pain. I see a foot soak afterwards. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So for me
Comfort.
now, it's like I still want to be stylish and I still want to express myself. So what does that look like for who I am now, my body? I'll do a
Hmm.
pair of boots in a minute, like I'll do some combat boots, I'll do some, sneakers, just chunky heels. I'll do a chunky heel. And if you see me in a pair of stilettos, rest assured that I will not be in them for very long.
Right. Maybe like rest assured I have a date or an appointment. If I have to give advice on style, follow who you are. Don't try to be somebody else. That
Hmm.
never comes across as authentic. I think if you just, whatever your style is, enhance that maybe. If you feel like me personally, I feel like when I'm more fit, I'm more confident in my style than when I'm not. So I know to go more in that direction. I would say to definitely sit with yourself to say, where am I right now at this point in my life? Because how we dressed in high school and in college isn't how we dress as adults. And now we're in our, going 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Like, and I don't think age has anything to do with it. I love to see a woman in her 50s in some short shorts and a tank top because her body's right, even if it's not. Like, that's how you feel. I think you should wear what makes you feel good. I've
Right.
seen the most confident women that others may say are not attractive because their size or their physicalities. But I look at a woman, especially, and men too, like, wow, that person, they really woke up today and wore that. And look how they're walking down the street. Like, they're so confident. And I think I admire that more than anything. And as far as life, I would say that we have the ability to create our realities. And I think we should take advantage of that. And we have, like, the industry, I'll leave you with this because I would feel remiss if I didn't mention this. There are news articles going around saying Hollywood is dead. Anymore. The strike killed a lot of careers. I was bartending last night. My friend was teaching me how to bartend. That was the gig I was mentioning to you before that I had to do. I haven't worked in about 2 years. I would say a year because one of the years I had a physical situation where my injury. But the industry is different. So I am in the process of reinventing myself. I love storytelling, and I've always been a writer and a poet. So have created a television series, actually. I'm on episode 7 of 8, like 6
Okay, congratulations.
content. Thank you. And it's based in New York. I can't wait to get back. I feel like I'm already there through writing. And so during the strike, what I did was I took my, what do you call it? My brother was like, oh, you got a job on Power. Congratulations. Like, he could kind of care less. I was like, why is he acting like that? He's like, because you're such a brilliant writer. You're a different kind of storyteller. Yeah, you're telling clothing, but you're brilliant with writing. And I feel like you haven't really tapped into that. You just keep taking these costume design jobs because I have a kid. It's easy. The money's great. But I also was kind of unhappy because I was, again, authenticity. I felt like I was living a dream that I had at one point. And to be quite honest with you, I fell out of love with the art of storytelling through clothing and film and TV only because it was controlled, the level of control. Like I tell you, the Method Man story. You know, I wanted him to wear, when I followed the storyline, I'm sure the episode, they've showed it already, aired it already. That should have been last year. And I was like, he's pissed. He's coming home. He's from the hood, his character. I saw it. I saw a vision of him like in this tank top and working out and his New York fitted on backwards and the Timbs and the Air Force, some sneakers and Nikes and sweats. I could see it. And they was like, nah, they put the kibosh on it. No, you got to put him in what about a Gucci tracksuit? And I'm like, he would never wear that. Like, what is that? So I feel like when it comes to like working for the industry specifically, I'm not a stylist in that way, where you could work with an artist and go, what is his name? Law
Oh, Law Roach.
Taylor posted of a shoot they did. He assassinated this shoot. You have to go on his page and find it.
Okay.
It's the most brilliantly, it's art. Like, I want to take each of his frames and blow it up and put it in one of my rooms in my home. Like, that's the feeling that you get when you see, he embodies fashion. I love the way he delivered it, like, you know, but it also speaks to how creative you can be when you're a stylist. When you're a costume designer, your vision is limited to the words on the page and the character that they've described. So I've kind of fell out of love with it a little bit because I couldn't tell the story I would really wanted to tell. So in turn, I came home and I couldn't stop typing. And I created this story that came from where stories come from. And it's full of fashion and it's full of style. And it's definitely not it's black and brown folks in it. It shows like the Boricua and the black community and how, because out in California, it's very separate.
Okay.
Hispanics and blacks. But it shows how we grew up. Like, you might go into the bodega and 2 words that fly out of your mouth might be Hispanic, the Spanish words, just because you learn a little bit coming up. But my advice on life, to circle back to your question and even sharing all of this, is you have to know when to pivot and how to pivot. And I think a lot of that comes from following spirit. Like when I tell you I came home and I just started writing. And Marlon, he's actually been very influential in just kind of helping me, like, right, how's the script going? I hope you're still going to write it. And he's like, you don't have to write all 8 episodes. I'm like, I got to get the story out. So I think that's the important thing in life, is learning how to reinvent yourself, which is what I'm currently doing, learning how to pivot. Not that I wouldn't take another industry job, but my entire life is completely different. A lot of folks lost their homes. They lost their livelihoods. I'm going through my own personal stuff in that way. I won't get too personal, but it shifted things in a way that you start to question, what was it all for? I've traveled, left my kid behind to go do Power Book Ghosts and Empire, and I did all of this, and here we are in Hollywood, and I'm getting all these emails from friends that are like, I want to move back to the East Coast anyway, but they're telling me, like, did you hear that Jersey's the new Hollywood? And this, so on and so forth. And there's a site, the Motion Picture Costumers site, Local 705. If you get a chance to look at their site, I randomly clicked on it the other day. I think my hand just hit the phone, and it went on Instagram. And I just hear, hi, I'm Salvador Perez. I'm a costume designer. I'm unemployed. Hi, I'm such and such. I'm a caterer. I'm unemployed. Hi. And I was like, what is this video? And it like brought me to tears, because you almost felt like you were at a production meeting, because every department, I feel like someone was speaking on behalf of their department and how they're not working right now. And it was shocking. And I was just like, oh my God, like, it's not just me. It's like, it's the industry. So I think you have to learn how to pivot. You have to find that gift. Like for me, mine is storytelling, whether it's through fashion or handwritten words and downloads and dialogue. That's where I find I've had such a great time writing. I'm actually, as soon as we're done with this call, I'm going to go and finish my script. And I'm doing my vision board now. So that's when the fashion part comes out in my deck. And I would say learning how to pivot. Like I've had to pivot several times, but this is the greatest pivot, because I've been doing costumes for 30 years. Like I was 22 when I started, 21, so longer than I haven't. And if you don't have that ability, I don't know if I was growing up in New York or just the type of dad I had, but to pivot and find the next thing that is in alignment with your soul. Again, I'm not going to try to go out and be a biochemist. I'm feel like a fraud. That's not who I am, but I'm going to do something in the creative field. And I found that writing and maybe even some graphic designing I was thinking about getting into are the 2 things I would pivot to. It's a redemption story. It's a story about loss and love and trials and tribulations. And it's modern, and it's tone to it. It's not overly sexual, although there are elements of, we're adults, but elements of homosexuality. And I was gay for like a really long time. I consider myself bisexual now. Might be TMI, but whatever. It's not a secret. I'm not like in the closet. But I think that I didn't see myself in a lot of these shows with African-American females. Where's the nerdy kind of artist girl that's bisexual? That's me. I don't see her. I see either super gay or like someone who's, when I say super gay, I mean like anti-men. That's not me. So I wanted a character that loves men, but then I love women. And somehow I was able to, and then she's an artist, so she owns an art gallery, without it being this pornography. I feel like when people put women together, it turns into like soft porn, and that's not what this show's about. It's just love. But yeah, so I wanted to see myself on a TV show. I didn't grow up in the South, so I don't have the, hey girl, yeah, I don't have that sound coming out of my mouth. I like eating lox and bagels sometimes. I might say yada, yada, yada. And words like they put the kibosh on things without feel like I'm trying to be, again, authentic, but without feel, because I feel like they box us in a little bit as Black women.
Oh, this is a powerful conversation because I grew up in Sheepshead Bay. So people don't even know what Sheepshead Bay is. So when I say I'm from Brooklyn and Sheepshead Bay, my
like,
Black card is almost revoked.
Right. They're like, where is that? You're like, I grew up around a lot of Italians, some Irish, Greek.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's different. And I think when I see TV shows that are supposed to be representing Black women, specifically from New York, it's either the lace fronts or like women that I don't resonate with them. I'm like, she's from New York. Like, what part is she from? But it's different. Like, it's whatever. This is for podcast. I don't even care because I feel like somebody has to say it. And I don't want to feel like I'm continuously watching TV shows where I can't see myself and my friends. Like, we like fly shit. We like different things. We're not just hanging out in the hood or like smoking weed or doing coke, or sometimes we're bisexual. Sometimes we're super crazy surrealist artists who like going to museums on the weekend. And we don't all go to church. We don't all have Southern roots.
Right.
I didn't know my cousins until New York Undercover. I had no idea who my family was outside of my 5 siblings and my mother and my father.
Wow.
All of my life.
Wow.
And New York Undercover came around and these people reached out. They called the office and they were claiming to be our cousins. And I had never met a cousin. I used to make up cousins. If I ever tell you somebody's my cousin, it's not my real cousin. And they wind up coming and they were from Indianapolis. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. Like they had accents and whatever the indie accent is. And it was interesting to find the other parts of us that were tied to the South, essentially. Indianapolis, I know is not, but wherever their parents came from. But I didn't have any clue. So that wasn't like my lineage of growing up and having Sunday dinners. It was Friday, we went to the mosque and, we didn't eat pork and we did Ramadan and fasting. But yeah, as far as like seeing ourselves, like I want to see Black women that are unlike, I'm really trying to think of a show. I can't think of one where I feel like we're represented. Actually, you know what? Dear White People. I feel like maybe that show touched on that other kind of Black folk. Very, maybe a little bit of Different World, but look, it had to be called Different World. You know what I mean? And maybe that's why. I don't know if it was related to the type of Black folks, but yeah, I take that back then. But see how long ago that was. Like it's because it's not Cosby. Maybe a little bit of Cosby Show, a little bit of Different World with Dear White People, like that.
What about and I don't know if this is the age range you have in mind, but oh my God, Issa Rae, Insecure.
There we go, Insecure. Except that took place in California. So it's one of those things that like when you start writing, something happens, and I don't want to like freak people out, but it wasn't until I started having these experiences, and then like Quentin Tarantino talks about it. Stephen King said he never knows how his shows are going to end, his books. He just starts writing. It's like the characters start talking to you. You think, what? That sounds crazy. But I read that after I had that actual experience happen. I was writing and it was like, I couldn't stop, and I'm crying and I'm laughing, I'm crying. And I was like, who is this guy? Like, where did he come from? Like, then you start feeling like, am I going crazy? That it happened to me. And I spoke to her, I won't say her name, for anonymity purposes, but a friend of mine, you know her because she went to our high school. I will say that much. She called me one day to ask me how my writing was going. And I just started vomiting this character to her. And then he did this. And she was like, that's my cousin. And I was like, what? And she named 8 of the things that I talked about, 5 to 8 of the character traits and things that have happened, down to the name. And then I mentioned another name, and I said, do you know anyone with this name? Because this is the matriarch of the show. She's like, that's his mother.
Oh, shoot.
So there's something spiritual that happens when you write and storytell, and maybe that's why back in the day when actors used to perform on the stages in the Roman times, they would, I read somewhere they used to meditate after to get the spirit of the person out of them. So that's been an interesting journey. That's another thing too. I'm excited to produce and to write, because when I work with designers, I also have been through so much that I want to respect them, as the head of the department and the creative head. Like, this is the vision. Show me how you would interpret that without, micromanaging. That was definitely a lot. And that didn't go over too well, because it stunts the creativity, so, but yeah.
Well, you've been super generous with your time and your stories and your transparency. I love it. No, seriously, I love this. This is what the show is really about on this podcast. It's less about style. It's more about women coming into their own, reflecting on their journey. I'm big on helping other women. So I want other women to be inspired. Like, for me, the work that I do is less about the clothing and it's more about the mindset and encouraging women to really embrace who they are and just start living. Listen, we don't know. None of us know, right? Time is running out for all of us as we speak. Yeah. So figure out what is for you and go out and get it. So that's what this is all about, And
live your truth, for sure. And if you don't see yourself reflected in the medium that you're attracted to, like, I love film and TV. We all have opportunities to change that narrative, like write something, create something, build something that shows this is me too. This is us too. This is, we're not one trick ponies, or there's two different kind of Black women. It's the corporate and it's the hood. It's like, what's the in-between weirdo, So I think, it's expanding a lot more, but I just feel like on the platform of streaming and television shows, you only see like really two types of Black women.
Yeah.
And that's what I would love to see, like, have a huge shift. Like, Dear White People, I don't know why it got canceled, but I wish it would have gone on a little longer. Harlem touches a little bit on that. I think I resonate the most with Jerry. She feels the most like a New Yorker in terms of her energy. I don't know where she's from originally. Philly, maybe. I think someone told me recently. But yeah, I think, anyway. That's just my soapbox theories.
Yeah, no matter how many are put out, because their show was canceled and it looked like before they were ready, and it's like there's not many opportunities to. There's a lot of shows out.
When?
The I think it was season 3, this most recent season. It was it felt a little rushed, if I'm being honest. And that was the last season.
Shoot, I didn't realize, because I know season 3 came on, but I didn't realize the show was actually canceled. Yeah, I didn't watch season 3. I watched season 1 and 2.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Rahimah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off, but again, I just want to make sure that I'm not over. Oh, no.
I know we gotta go. Yeah, but thank you for this. Thank you for like asking the questions that you ask and allow me to express, the side of fashion that I love, the side that gets a little tough, and also reinventing yourself and finding ways to pivot when you see things shifting and tell those stories, whether it's through clothing or words or art, visuals.
Yes. So thank you. And for everyone who watched the podcast, thank you. Please, check out Rahimah, your Rahimah Yoba on social media, right? On Instagram.
Yeah, my full name.
And then, if you join today's conversation, don't keep it to yourself. Like, comment, or share this episode with someone who would love it also. Your style tells a story. So check us out on Spotify, YouTube, and other major podcasting platforms. And see you next time on The Secrets of Stylish Women. Thank you.